Yo, what is up guys? It is Bumfris, back with episode 85 of our Reddit series. This one's going to be a bit more entitled parents, and I absolutely know you're going to love this one. Hope you guys have been enjoying the mix-up lately. We've been doing a bit of Ask Reddit as well. Let me know if there's any other subreddits that you would like to see in the next couple of days. I'm super open to suggestions. Now sit back, relax, and get annoyed at some entitled parents. Alright, so for the cast in this one, we've got me, who is obviously me, AF, who is my friend with autism, F1, who is friend 1, F2, who is friend 2, ED is entitled dad, and CK is cool kid and entitled dad's son. So I'm part of the Boy Scouts of America, and once a month, we usually go on a camping event or something like that. This specific summer, which was summer of 16, my AF's dad, one of the leaders in the troop, planned a trip for us to camp on the beach for the weekend, and on Saturday, we would spend all day at the amusement park, which is split into 3 piers on the beach. So, Friday went smoothly. We got there, set up, went to the water, and then went to sleep. Next morning we woke up early as part of the deal. We get free breakfast at one of the piers. Everything was going well, and we all getting our food, which was eggs, juice, cereal, donuts, and some sort of sausage, which all tasted great. F1, who has been friends with AF since elementary school, was with AF making sure that he got everything he wanted. F2 and I went to grab seats for AF and F1. I wasn't paying attention as I was talking to one of the kids at a nearby table who had a Saints shirt. I'm a huge Saints fan by the way, but F2 said that entitled dad who was behind AF was telling AF to move faster. AF is a little clumsy and gets very uncomfortable when he is rushed, but this morning we had all woken up really early, so he was still very sleepy and moving slower than normal. Our table wasn't very far from the line where AF was, and I could very clearly hear entitled dad yelling at AF to move faster. The entitled dad then says, "Jesus, does all your troop move this slow? My son needs to eat. He hasn't eaten all morning, so hurry the F up. We woke up extra early to get our food, so move along." Now, mind you, it's just barely light out, so literally everyone hasn't eaten yet as the line just opened and we woke up super early to be first in line as the line gets crazy long. F1 didn't say anything but tried to help AF carry some plates, but AF was very persistent and wanted to carry all of the plates himself. At this point, AF was feeling a little rushed, so he tried to move as fast as he could, but his hands were shaking. As they walked away, entitled dad muttered something under his breath, but everyone couldn't even look him in the eye. Even CK was ashamed. Everyone was silent and just felt super bad for AF. Everyone could kind of tell that he had some sort of disability, but entitled dad didn't seem to notice. After AF and F1 had left the line and had sat down, I went to tell one of the adults what just happened and they alerted staff of his behavior. Cursing is not allowed as it's a scouting event and a lot of younger kids were present. I saw the staff talk to him, but I'm not too sure what happened. After they got out of line, CK directly came to us. AF was still shaken up and quietly whimpering when CK saw this. In the breakfast line, everyone is only allowed to get 1 donut, but CK offered his donut to AF and says, "I'm sorry about my dad, bro. He can be an asshole sometimes, but I wanted you to have this. Have a great day, and I'm really sorry." AF was happy to take the donut and was instantly the normal, goofy person he is. To this day, C-Kid makes me have some kind of faith in humanity because without his small act of kindness, I'm not sure that AF would have been able to enjoy the trip. I'm just glad that things ended well for everyone, except for maybe the entitled dad. This one's just kind of messed up when you think about it, right? Like, imagine having such little spatial awareness and, understanding of what's going on around you that you decide to yell at somebody that has autism because they're going a bit too slow. Like, do you not have any level of compassion whatsoever? I don't know. These entitled parents just make me lose a little bit more faith in humanity every single day, and I don't know how much more I have left. When I was in kindergarten, my history with being bullied started already. Kids can be cruel, and although they don't often know what the consequences of their actions are, they can pull some mean crap. That was the case with entitled kid. Let's call him Kenny. He was, and still is, a little crap. We were both 5 years old, and one day we were making some useless toddler paper things when he decided that it would be a good idea to snip his scissors around whenever the teacher wasn't watching. He aimed it at me suddenly when I tried to grab something and snipped the top of my pinky off. Obviously there was a lot of blood and crying from both sides. My finger would be fine, but my mum went to confront his mum about it as he refused to apologize. His mum, instead of teaching her son about some basic moral stuff, said, "My Kenny would never do such a thing," and got into a loud argument with my mum about my finger. Even when my now half-dead pinky was shown, she blamed it on me for being clumsy. She basically refused to acknowledge that her little kid could do something, even unconsciously, wrong. She told Kenny apparently that he did nothing wrong and even went to the teacher to complain about me and my mum. Kenny, not surprisingly, grew up to be a spoiled little brat. Man, I feel like in this mother's eyes, Kenny could get away with murder. You know, they'd be at the trial, he's up for murder, there's so much evidence against him, and she'd just be like, no, my Kenny would never do something like that. Next thing you know, the judge finds him guilty, and then you hear her complaining about the jury because her Kenny could never do something so bad. I don't know about some of these parents, they're just crazy. Our story begins on my school day. As I mentioned, I currently have a very big throat pain, and I'm guessing I got it because of the cold winds here. I would have stayed home because of the severity, but I had a very important test to do. My lesson ended up an hour short as the teacher had also called in sick, and my bus didn't come until 2 hours later, so I called my mother to pick me up. She told me that she couldn't and that my grandmother was near my school so she could pick me up. Keep in mind, my school is 15 kilometers away from my house, so walking was not an option. My grandmother agreed to pick me up, and only then did she find out that I have throat pains. When she hears this, she tells me, "It's those damn vaccines. That's why you have all these pains. This is why you're always sick." I didn't really know what to say, so I just had to stand her for the remainder of the trip. She then attempted to make me speak by making small talk in a very rude way. Stuff like, "Nice weather, huh? Too bad you can't go outside." That's when she drove up to a supermarket, told me to wait in her car, drove to exactly where the sun was shining and parked her car. She then left, locked her car and went in. At that point, I'd had enough. I called my mother, told her what happened, and she came to rescue me immediately. She went into the supermarket, demanded that my grandmother open the doors, and began ruthlessly shaming her for what she did. Then I got home and had some cake. I also forgot to mention why I couldn't get out of the car. I was located in the back seat where both sides were locked. It had those weird pull-up things as locks and they were completely in the locks, so I couldn't unlock them. I was also panicking as of now, so it did not occur to me that I could just climb the driver's seat and unlock the car from there. My grandmother also just called me crying, and she said that she was so sorry for what she did and that she, in fact, was off her meds. Turns out that she ran out, and that's why she went into the supermarket as it had a med shop in it. I accepted her apology, and I hope you can also forgive her for what she did. You know, unlike most of the entitled parent stories we read out, I'm glad to hear this one had a reasonable ending at least. I mean, at least it was just because she was off her meds, but at the same time, there's still that anti-vax factor, so not too sure how that pans out, but I mean, it's a little bit better, right? My mother, as I have mentioned on other Reddit posts, is the sweetest, most giving person imaginable. Unfortunately, people tend to take advantage of that. In one case, she got 4 kids dumped on her as her responsibility when she was doing the parents, which was her sister and brother-in-law, a favor and told off because she took ill and couldn't care for them every minute that their parents wanted them to. I was a kid, still in elementary school, when this all took place. But my mum and I lived on the first floor apartment of a house with 3 different living spaces. 4 if you count the furnished basement where my grandparents live. On the 3rd floor lived my aunt with her 4 children, 3 girls and 1 boy. They were very sweet kids, but extremely rowdy. I, however, tended to be more quiet. Mum could even bring me to her college classes and know that I'd sit in the hallway with my doll or a picture book quietly and not go anywhere. I wasn't really a wander off or make noises type of child. The 4 of them were the opposite. They loved to explore and shout and fight and would climb fences to play with the neighbors' kids. Very sweet and outgoing, but rowdy. So you can imagine that if I was playing with my cousins in their house, adding 1 more kid at the supper table who didn't kick up a fuss wasn't a huge deal, and in fact, this happened very rarely since I can count on one hand the times that I was in their apartment versus when they were in mine. I was a horse of a different colour if they come to stay with us. One of the girls was only 2 years younger than me, and it was if just the 2 of us could be counted on to behave and play in my room, but add the others and it was knickknacks, flying couches getting flipped over levels of crazy. My mum luckily was very interactive with children at the time. She was a school teacher after her college courses were over and taught every grade you can imagine, including preschool. She'd play hide and seek with all of us, move furnishings, and try and teach them to do somersaults and things to get their extra energy out, etc. My aunt wasn't like that, and if it was her apartment, it was always watch TV until someone breaks something and you all get kicked outside. Because my mum was so good with the kids, my aunt, Eva the princess, started to act like it was my mum's job to watch them, not just a favor. First, she started demanding that my mum pay for all their meals at McDonald's, which my mum explained was too expensive, adding 4 extra kids as opposed to just 1. Then she would insist that if the oldest girl had a sleepover someplace on a night that she wanted to go out, mum had to give up her plans to watch the other 3. It got to the point where she was demanding that my mum even take her kids to the bus at 6 AM. My mum tried to do so, but couldn't get up early enough. She has a serious illness that was leaking toxic stuff into her body and eating her jaw, but we didn't know that yet, and she got called lazy and selfish. Then finally, entitled aunt decided that you have to pick my kids up after school as they're your nieces and nephews after all. My mum patiently pointed out that while she would love to, since she has fun with them, they went to a completely different school than me and she had to be in the other part of the city to pick up her own child who was having problems at school to boot. The entitled aunt said, "Let her grandfather pick her up as I need you to get my kids." Mum agreed to do so a couple of times, but then finally had to put her foot down in the gentlest way possible and remind the entitled mum that I was growing up and she wasn't going to be able to pick me up from elementary school much longer, and she wanted to at least have some memories of doing so before I graduated the 5th grade. Despite my mum's kindness, my aunt is still cold and bitter about her to this day, and I can't even have a reasonable conversation with the entitled mum about my mother without her getting all tight-lipped and hurt, going, sure. All self-importantly. Isn't it just the best when the entitled parents are actually part of your family? Like, it's not just some random person you've met on the street, it's actually someone that you have to deal with every single day, especially because they live in the same building in this case. Like, this must just be the worst. You know, I feel sorry for the average person that has to deal with an entitled parent, but I really do have an appreciation for people that are able to put up with entitled parents that are a part of their family every single day. They deserve mad props. So just a heads up, this story does contain spoilers from an Avengers movie, but it's not the one coming out, it's like the previous one, so Infinity War, for anyone who hasn't seen it, just an FYI, but it shouldn't be a problem for the most part. If you haven't seen it and you don't want the spoilers, just skip ahead like 20 seconds and we'll be at the part of the story where they're gone. So my cousin went to watch Avengers Infinity War, and this effing kid screamed rhythmatically in a song, "Spider-Man dies, Bucky dies, Falcon dies, and Star-Lord dies," for every single victim of the Snappening. Every death. Gamora, Spider-Man, Vision, Scarlet Witch, every effing one. People were shouting at this kid curses, swearing, threats, everywhere. This kid's mother just shouts, "Why the F are you mother effers shouting at my kid? It's just an effing movie, assholes." It was almost like she didn't know the cultural importance of this movie. This movie was delayed for 10 minutes due to all the noise, and 5 people were kicked out, but not the kid. That kid repeated the song over and over again. His mother slapped a person who tried to stop him, and guess what? The kid then decides to run to the front, and he went to the front of the theater and flossed. Yes, he flossed while singing the same song again. When the ushers tried to kick him out, the entitled mum slapped them. She said that he was just a child. Keep in mind this kid was 12 and it was just a movie. It wasn't like insert some Bollywood movie, I don't know what it was, that was coming out. The usher just spoiled it for her and she blew up. After the frenzy, the usher then explains that this was what her son was doing to these people. The entitled mum then went up to her son and slapped him repeatedly and pulled him by the ear out of the cinema. The people in the theater were given a free ticket to watch Infinity War in Gold Class any other day, as well as a free ticket for any future films on opening day. My cousin is using this for Endgame. The kid was repeatedly slapped and by the looks of it, was punished severely. The kid and his mother were apparently banned from the theater, and since this company owned all of the nearest cinemas to the city, they had to travel 30 minutes extra to the next city to see a film. Just for some context for those of you that did skip over that 20 seconds at the start, the kid was singing a song with a bunch of spoilers in it from the movie for whatever reason, and that was what caused this whole deal. Anyway, that aside, pretty pathetic of the entitled mum, I mean at least in my opinion, to not really understand what this kid was doing. I mean, regardless of whether he was spoiling or not, he was up the front of the theater, jumping around, acting like an idiot in front of everyone, and her excuse was, he's just a child. Like, control your kid in public, what are you doing? Alright everyone, that is that for today's episode of Entitled Parents. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm just going to take a second to plug a couple of my social medias, including our Discord server. I do have a Twitter and an Instagram if you want to follow me on both of those. They are both at Bumfris, and feel free to send me a message and I'll do my best to respond. I also just want to take a second to say thank you so much for all the love lately, all of the comments, the likes, the subscribers, just the fact that you guys tune in and watch my videos every day, it really does make my day. Every single one of you is the backbone of this channel, and I really cannot express how much I appreciate that. Without you guys, this channel would be nothing, and I love making these videos for you guys, and I love the fact that you enjoy them. So on that note, I will wrap things up for today's episode of Entitled Parents. I just want to take a second again to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Entitled Parents. Bye.